You are listening to How to Get Over Your Ex, episode number 101. I miss everything about my ex. Welcome to How to Get Over Your Ex, a podcast on getting over your ex without it just taking time. I'm your host, breakup coach Dorothy. Let's turn your pain into power and your heartbreak into happy. Welcome, my Bravehearts. How's everyone doing? This past week, I did my one-on-one check-ins with the most recent group of Bravehearts in the Get Over Your Ex program. That's kind of where I meet with each of them one-on-one and obviously do coaching together. And it is so fun. I love meeting and building that one-on-one connection with each of them. And what's so crazy is I'm just constantly reminded about how coaching has just dramatically changed my life. I literally think about how grateful I am that I found this information and I found coaching so early on in my life. I cannot imagine my life without it. The changes that I've seen happen in the past, it's been about 4 years since coaching has been in my life, is mind-boggling. And to be able to be the catalyst for so many of my Bravehearts who are diving into this work and truly doing the life-changing work, I am so grateful. I can't imagine a life without thought work or without mind management. Obsessed. Anyway, when I did one-on-one check-ins, a variety of topics came up, and one of the most frequently brought up topics was around missing their ex. The Bravehearts, there's multiple layers here, so I'll talk about both, but we have Bravehearts who were kind of like a year out or plus of their heartbreak, and then they were already in new relationships. They were making missing their ex mean that they weren't over their ex. And that obviously is then infiltrating and affecting their new romantic partnerships. And then we also have the Bravehearts who are fresh from heartbreak, right? Where they're making missing their ex mean that they're never going to get over that person because they miss their ex and they miss everything about that person. And listen, Bravehearts, I hear you, right? I was the queen at this. I missed my ex, everything about him. I missed him going places with me. I missed him watching TV and doing homework with me. I missed hanging out with him and his family or his friends. I missed our phone calls on the way to work and when I leave work. I missed having him say goodnight to, right? All of it. I've been there. I've done that. So let's talk about this. Why do we miss our ex? Let's start there. When I think about missing someone, it's the feeling of longing. It's an emotion. I long for that person. What is creating that longing emotion? My Bravehearts, it's a trick question, right? It's the idea, the thought, the sentence, I miss my ex. I'm missing that person. It's an optional thought, right? Thoughts create feelings. So if you're new to the podcast, welcome. You are about to be a badass Braveheart. And let me catch you up. Thoughts create feelings, right? The stories we have about ourselves, our breakup, or our ex is what creates our emotions. If my current partner comes to me and says, Dorothy, I love you, I don't feel love because he told me that. I feel love because of my thoughts, my interpretation of those words from that person. He could come up to one of you and say, I love you. And you might have very different thoughts and feelings about that same exact circumstance. Maybe you're like nervous or scared or like, who is this? Very different feelings and thoughts for the very same circumstance. So that's why two people could be going through a breakup and one feels and experiences longing for the other while the other person just doesn't. And it's only because that their thoughts are different. So when you're telling yourself, I miss my ex, I miss the way he used to say my name, I miss the way he used to hold me and tell me everything was okay, going to be okay, think about how you feel, right? It's an experience of longing for me. That's the way that I feel, is this sense of longing. And when you're longing for someone you don't have, think about how you show up. The way we feel fuels our action and our behavior. When you feel inspired, you show up in the world very differently than when you feel miserable. So when you feel longing for someone you don't have in your life anymore, it fuels ruminating, right? It fuels constant thinking about that person and about the past and what you once had but no longer do. It's coming from lack. You spend more time looking at the past and what you don't have than what's possible in the current moment now that you're out of the relationship. Now, the other part of this that is fascinating and that I saw with the Bravehearts in the group is what you're making missing your ex mean about you. What missing your ex means about the breakup or your future. If it were really true that you really did miss your ex, because sometimes that's not really true, which we will talk about in a second, but for the sake of argument, if you really did miss that person, why is that a problem? Answer that question for yourself. Why is it a problem that you miss your ex? Do you make it mean that you'll never get over that person? That you're not over your ex? That you'll never have a connection with someone like that again? That you've missed out and that was your chance at love? What do you make that mean? Because why would you make missing someone mean those specific things? Think about how you feel when you believe any of those ideas. For me, I feel defeated, right? And then when you show up defeated, it tends to look like hands in the air, I'm just giving up. But I want you to think about this. I miss my mom and my dad, but I don't make it mean that I'll never have a connection like that again, or that I've missed out on something simply because I miss them. So the truth is twofold. The first thing is missing your ex is an optional thought that generates the feeling of longing and fuels behavior like focusing on the past and what's not possible. The second is what you make missing your ex mean about you, your breakup, and your future. All of that matters. What you're making missing your ex mean matters. It's important. So here's the solution, and here's how you're going to get to a place where you don't constantly miss your ex. The simple way of saying this is you're going to stop lying to yourself. Missing your ex does not mean you'll never get over him. Missing your ex does not mean you'll never have that kind of relationship again. Missing someone is an optional belief that is generating an emotion. Missing your ex is also not a problem. Remember the basics here, right? The reason you're not over your ex is simple. It's because of what you're making the breakup mean, the story you're telling yourself. We want to reduce the desire of your ex through changing your thinking. If you don't desire your ex or the relationship, you don't miss it. And desire is created through your thinking, right? I like to use the ice cream analogy. I have a strong desire for ice cream when I describe it as this ooey gooey, it melts in my mouth, the caramel, the chocolatey chips, such a good treat. I have a strong desire for ice cream when I describe it that way. But if I describe ice cream as simply milk and sugar, a lot less desirable, right? So we must learn to change our thinking about ourselves, about our ex, and about our future. We don't have to go to the place where we hate our ex, but what is very productive when you find yourself missing someone you once loved is to stop lying to yourself. And here are 4 questions I want you to walk yourself through to show yourself those lies, okay? So the first question is, what am I actually missing? If you miss your ex when you're walking home from work and you normally call him, this is me, before, right? When I used to go to a job and at work in a building where I walk to, what I was really missing was the connection, right? Someone to check in with, someone who wants to make sure that I get home okay. Going back to an ex who chose to leave you in the first place is not necessarily the solution to creating that result. You know what is? Learning to build that connection now as future you who shows up for herself, who finds a way to create that connection, who looks at all of her friends and family who care deeply. And she knows in her bones that there is a partner out there for her who is going to say, instead of you walking home, let me come pick you up, boo. Right? The second question I want you to ask yourself is, what do I not miss? And this is huge because, yeah, maybe you miss talking to him on the way home, but you know what I don't miss? Calling him and him not answering. or having the same conversation over and over, or being in a long-distance relationship. There are many things I don't miss and know will not be an issue in my next relationship because I'm going to choose differently, right? So first one is, what am I actually missing? Second question is, what do I not miss? The third thing is I want you to explore, what am I making missing him mean about myself? Am I making it mean that I'll never have someone to check in on me again? Is that really true? No. Does missing someone equate to never being over him? Absolutely not. Drop that story. And then the last question I want you to ask yourself is, why is it a problem that I'm missing him? What is the problem my brain is trying to solve for? It's a problem that I miss him because it means no one cares about it, right? All the while, I'm choosing to believe this. I'm not learning to care for myself. I'm literally, when I'm walking home from work and I'm missing my ex, this is me in the past, by the way, you guys, I'm just talking in present tense. But say I'm walking home from work and I'm missing my significant other, it's a problem that I'm missing him because I feel like no one cares. But when I'm choosing to believe that, I'm the one that's not caring for myself, right? I'm wallowing in my own self-pity. I'm looking at all the ways people don't care versus showing up for myself and saying, hey, just because I miss my ex doesn't mean that I don't care. Okay? All right. So you miss your ex, so when you miss your ex, it doesn't have to be a problem. But if it is, find out the real reason. What is the problem your brain is trying to solve? What do you make missing your ex mean, and is that really true? What do you not miss about your ex? And ultimately, what do you actually miss? And how can you go out and create that regardless of who's in or not in your life? All right, my Bravehearts, I am sending you so much love. I'm excited for you to take this work and change your life with it. I hope you have an amazing week. Let's do this. If you're loving the How to Get Over Your Ex podcast and you want to learn how to get over your ex in 3 months or less to build a life better than the one you thought you had with your ex, I would like to personally invite you to my next group course where we take everything you've learned here on the podcast and apply it to your life. Come check it out at www.lifecoachdorothy.com.